What if everything you've been told about transformation, about becoming stronger, calmer, more focused, more disciplined, was only half the truth? What if real change didn't come from motivation, but from something deeper, something quieter, something forged in stillness, in self-mastery, in silence? This isn't about feeling better for a moment. This isn't about chasing the next high. This is about shifting, fundamentally, from who you've been to who you're capable of becoming. But if you learn to wield it with calm, with clarity, it becomes a tool of precision and power. Your words are the same, your tone, your choices. Every time you pause before reacting, you strengthen your mind. Every time you resist the urge to lash out, to defend your ego, to win, you gain something far more valuable than temporary satisfaction. You gain self-respect. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. You begin to see the world not as something that's doing things to you, but as something that's offering you a field for training. Every annoying person becomes a sparring partner. Every delay, every frustration, every disagreement becomes a weight, something to build your internal muscle. This is not easy. This is not automatic. It takes practice. And it begins in the smallest of moments. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when a loved one snaps at you, when a colleague takes credit for your work, you feel the reaction rise, but you don't feed it, you don't follow it, you pause, you breathe, you choose your response. And over time, this shift changes everything, because the man who is reactive is predictable, weak, a puppet. But the man who responds, he is dangerous, he is respected. He walks into a room and brings order, not chaos. He handles conflict with poise. He turns confrontation into clarity. He diffuses anger without becoming it. Ask yourself now, how often do I react without thinking? How many of my regrets come from moments where I let my emotions speak for me? And who could I become if I chose, each day, to master that space between the event and my next move? That is Stoicism in action, not in books, not in theory, but in breath, in pause, in stillness before speech, in choosing, always, to remain sovereign over your own mind. Let the world rage, you stay calm. Let others snap, you stay grounded. Let others flinch and fire. You remain still, alert, prepared. And when they ask why you don't explode, why you don't panic, why you don't crumble, you'll smile and say, because I trained for this. Part 2, from wanting control to mastering. Acceptance. Control is the illusion that drives most of our suffering. The belief that if you just try hard enough, plan smart enough, push forcefully enough, the world will finally bend to your will. People will behave how you want. Outcomes will match your expectations. Life will obey your timeline, but it never does. And the harder you try to control what isn't yours to command, the more frustrated, anxious, and bitter you become. This is where the second Stoic shift begins, from wanting control to mastering acceptance. The Stoics understood a truth that is still radical even today, that you cannot control what happens around you, but you can always control how you interpret and respond to it. And that is enough. In fact, that is everything. Most people spend their energy trying to manage the external, fix others, avoid discomfort, predict the future, secure outcomes. They become obsessed with plans, with strategies, with manipulating every variable around them. And when the inevitable happens, when someone disappoints them, when events take a different turn, when reality pushes back, they break. They call it unfair, but the Stoic does not. The Stoic expects life to be unpredictable. He knows people will fail him. He knows his body may weaken, his wealth may disappear, his reputation may be misunderstood. He knows he will lose things he loves. He does not deny these facts. He embraces them, not with despair, but with discipline, because in that embrace lies the freedom the rest of the world is searching for. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control, and what most people call peace, he would call fragility, because their peace only exists when things go their way. True peace is when you remain calm, even when they don't." So how do you move from control to acceptance? It begins by drawing the line, a clear, immovable line between what is yours, and what is not. You don't control the weather, you control how you dress for it. You don't control the traffic. You control whether you let it steal your focus. You don't control whether someone texts you back. You control how you respond to their silence. You don't control what people think about you. You control whether you act in alignment with your values. Once you stop wasting energy on the uncontrollable, something shifts. Your anxiety lessens. Your thinking clears. You begin to use your time wisely. You begin to show up fully in what is yours to command. Your effort, your attitude, your voice, your habits, your presence. In this video, we're not here to impress you with Stoic quotes. We're here to rebuild you with Stoic action. 10 shifts, 10 battles, 10 invitations to stop reacting and start rising, to stop surviving and start standing, to stop learning and finally become the kind of man you respect, not someday, not when it's convenient, but now. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be solid. You're not here to chase comfort. You're here to sharpen your edge. You're not here to escape fear. And acceptance does not mean weakness. It does not mean passivity. It means strength. The strength to let go of what poisons you. The strength to say, "This is beyond me, but I still choose how I walk through it." It's the calm of a warrior who knows the battlefield is unpredictable, but still sharpens his sword and shows up with resolve. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He didn't say this from a throne of comfort. He said it in war, in grief, in uncertainty. He accepted the obstacles and moved through them with grace. You must do the same. Stop demanding life to be different. Start preparing yourself to meet life exactly as it is. The person who cut you off, the friend who betrayed you, the plan that fell apart, the silence, the delay, the rejection, all of it, training. Ask yourself today, what am I trying to control that does not belong to me? And what would it look like if I stopped? Where am I resisting reality and calling it effort? Where am I carrying weight that isn't mine and calling it strength? When you learn to release that burden, you begin to walk lighter. You begin to see clearly. You stop fighting the wind and start adjusting your sails. This shift will not happen overnight, but each time you pause before trying to force something, each time you breathe instead of push, you are reclaiming your power quietly, relentlessly, permanently. Let others try to micromanage the universe. You master yourself, because in that mastery, acceptance is no longer resignation. It becomes your greatest act of strength. Part 3. From seeking validation to living by principles. There is a hunger that never ends. It looks like ambition. It sounds like motivation, but it's hollow underneath. It's the endless desire to be seen, to be applauded, to be approved by others. It's the thirst for validation, the addictive hit of feeling liked, admired, acknowledged. And like all addictions, it enslaves. Because once your sense of self is built on other people's opinions, you've placed your peace, your power, and your worth into hands that are not yours. The Stoics saw through this illusion. They understood that the man who lives for the crowd will die with the crowd. that what most people call confidence is really just a performance for attention, and that performance always comes at a cost: your authenticity. This is the third Stoic shift, from seeking validation to living by principles. What happens when you live for validation? You become inconsistent. You change depending on the room you walk into. You speak not from truth, but from calculation. You betray your own values just to avoid judgment. You dilute your own power in the hope of earning temporary acceptance. And worst of all, you begin to forget who you are underneath it all. But when you live by principles, unshakable, internal, grounded principles, you don't need applause. You don't need permission. You don't even need understanding. You act from alignment. You speak from clarity. You walk with integrity, even if no one is watching, especially then. Marcus Aurelius never asked to be popular. He asked only to be just. Epictetus never begged to be followed. He demanded that he be free. Free from the chains of other people's approval, from the need to be liked or agreed with. Seneca warned that a man who seeks approval is a man who has handed over his judgment. You must not do that. Your judgment is yours. Your compass is yours. And if you surrender that, you surrender everything. Ask yourself now, how often do I filter my truth through the fear of judgment? How many things have I left unsaid? Not because they weren't true, but because I feared the reaction. How many times have I gone along with the crowd? Not because I agreed, but because I didn't want to be alone. The Stoic path is not lonely because it lacks people. It is lonely because it requires conviction, and few are willing to walk that far into their own truth. When you live by principle, you become rare. You become unmoved by trends. You become uninterested in validation. Your focus shifts from what will they think to what do I stand for. That kind of man, the one who speaks quietly but acts firmly, becomes unshakable, not because he's always right, but because he's rooted. He does not say what is popular. He says what is necessary. He does not seek attention. He offers value. He does not bend to the wind. He moves with the current of his deepest alignment. And yes, it will cost you. You're here to walk through it, with eyes open and spine straight. These 10 Stoic shifts will not entertain you. They will challenge you. They will call you out. They will demand more than listening. They will demand alignment. But if you stay, if you choose to reflect, to apply, to act, this won't just be a video you watch. It'll be the moment your real transformation began. Welcome to the shift. Now breathe in and begin. You will lose followers. You will be misunderstood. You will be excluded. But what you gain is worth infinitely more. You gain self-respect. You gain trust in your own word. You gain the ability to sleep peacefully, knowing you did not betray yourself to belong. The man who lives for validation is always in danger, because the crowd that cheers him today will crucify him tomorrow. But the man who lives by principle, he is free. So today, choose the harder path. Speak truthfully, not strategically. Act from values, not vibes. And when the crowd shifts, when the eyes turn, when the applause fades, keep walking, because your compass was never external. It was built inside you, and now it's time to follow it. Part 4. From comfort, addiction to purposeful discomfort. Comfort is seductive. It whispers promises of ease, safety, relief. It tells you you've earned rest, that it's okay to stay where you are, that the pain of growth can wait, that now is not the time. But comfort, unchecked, is not your friend. It is your cage. It doesn't set you free. It softens you, weakens you, dulls the edge you were meant to keep sharp. And worst of all, it convinces you that staying small is wise. This is where the 4th Stoic shift begins, from comfort addiction to purposeful discomfort. The Stoics were not ascetics for the sake of pain. They didn't chase hardship to suffer. They sought it out because they knew something most people ignore, that true strength is forged through friction. that virtue is not built in ease, that discipline, endurance, clarity, and peace are not inherited. They are trained, rehearsed, fought for. Seneca wrote, "We must undergo a hard winter training and not rush into things for which we haven't prepared." He deliberately fasted, slept without luxury, exposed himself to discomfort, not to punish himself, but to remind his body and mind that he was not entitled to ease, that he could endure what others could not, that he was stronger than his cravings. What most men call comfort is decay, a slow erosion of vitality, purpose, and edge. They sleep in, they indulge, they numb, they tell themselves they'll begin tomorrow. They delay, and in the process, they lose themselves. Not all at once, but day by day, hour by hour, scroll by scroll, excuse by excuse. But the Stoic man flips the script. He doesn't ask, "What's easiest?" He asks, "What will make me stronger?" He doesn't ask, "What feels good right now?" He asks, "What will make me more prepared, more clear, more free in the long run?" Because he knows comfort is fleeting, but growth, earned through challenge, stays. It hardens the mind. It clarifies the will. It separates the disciplined from the dependent. Think of the areas where comfort is quietly killing you. The snooze button, the skipped workout, the mindless entertainment, the conversations avoided, the dreams postponed, the accountability dodged, the hard truths silenced. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you are negotiating with your potential. And every time you delay the necessary discomfort, you increase the price of change later. But when you deliberately seek discomfort, when you rise early, train hard, sit in silence, do the thing you fear, lean into difficult conversations, delay gratification, embrace boredom, deny indulgence, you begin to build a man that doesn't flinch when life tests him. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Just that you do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter." The right thing is often uncomfortable, and that's why it matters. Because it's in those moments, those hard choices, those quiet battles, that you prove to yourself you are not ruled by comfort, that you serve something greater than pleasure, that your life has direction, that your soul has weight. Discomfort doesn't make you miserable, it makes you resilient. You're not here to coast, you're here to carve away weakness, to carve into fear, to carve out the man buried beneath convenience. So today, do something uncomfortable on purpose, not because you hate yourself, but because you respect yourself, because you know your edge is dulled without pressure, because you know that in every ounce of resistance is the seed of your next breakthrough. You weren't made for comfort, you were made for greatness. And greatness begins when you choose discomfort over distraction, purpose over pleasure, mastery over mediocrity. Part 1. From reaction to response, mastering the space between. There's a moment. It happens fast, so fast that most people miss it. Something unexpected occurs. A message, a tone of voice, a glance, a challenge. Your chest tightens, your jaw clenches, a thought flashes. How dare they? And without hesitation, you react. Words fly, doors slam, energy spikes, damage is done. And then, perhaps a few minutes later, regret arrives. Part 5. From noise to stillness, reclaiming the space where strength begins. Every morning you wake up to noise. Before your feet touch the floor, it's already waiting. Notifications buzzing, messages blinking, opinions shouting, algorithms pulling, advertisements selling, people demanding. The noise doesn't knock, it barges in. And if you're not careful, if you're not intentional, it will fill you before the day even begins. It will hijack your thoughts, cloud your clarity, and turn your inner world into a battlefield of distractions. This is where the 5th Stoic shift begins, from noise to stillness. You see, noise isn't just sound, it's anything that scatters your attention. It's the mental static that keeps you reactive. It's the endless feed of information that never nourishes. It's the addictive scroll, the subconscious comparison, the subtle anxiety that builds when you're constantly consuming but never contemplating. Most people live in it, drown in it, need it. They can't drive without music, can't sit without checking something, can't be alone without reaching for a screen. Silence terrifies them. Stillness feels like emptiness. So they run into noise, into stimulation, into anything that distracts them from the discomfort of being with themselves. But the Stoic man trains himself differently. He understands that silence is not emptiness, it's access. That stillness is not passivity, it's power. That the strongest decisions, the deepest insights, the clearest actions all emerge from a mind that knows how to be still. Marcus Aurelius would retreat inward, even while surrounded by war. In the chaos of empire, he wrote, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." He didn't escape into noise. He escaped into himself, because the truth is, if you can't sit alone in a quiet room, you will never know who you are. You will never touch the depth that creates true confidence. You will always look outward for answers that only silence can give. Stillness is where you separate signal from noise, where you stop reacting and start reflecting, where you pause long enough to notice the patterns, the impulses, the lies your mind tells when it's moving too fast. It's in stillness that you learn what's really driving you, not what you say drives you, what actually does. Are you building your life or avoiding your fears? Are you chasing your purpose or escaping discomfort? Are you leading or just performing? Stillness holds the answers, but only for those willing to face them. And stillness doesn't have to mean hours of meditation. It means choosing space over stimulation. It means walking without headphones, sitting without checking your phone, writing without an audience, thinking before speaking, breathing before deciding. Even 5 minutes of real stillness each morning can rewire your entire day. It's in those 5 minutes that you remember, I am not my notifications. I am not my to-do list. I am not who others expect me to be. I am the one who chooses what gets in and what stays out. Seneca said, "If a man knows not which port he sails, no wind is favorable. But how will you ever know your direction if you're surrounded by noise? How will you steer if you're lost in everyone else's signal?" Stillness is where you chart your course. So today, don't just make time to move, make time to stop. Don't just train your body, train your attention. Withdraw, observe, breathe. Let the noise scream. You stay silent. Let the world spin. You stay anchored. Because when others are lost in noise, you will be the one who moves from stillness, with clarity, with precision, with power. Part 6. From external chaos to internal order. Holding the line within the world outside of you is chaos. It always has been, and it always will be. Markets crash, people break their promises, plans fall apart. Traffic doesn't care about your schedule. Emails never stop coming. News cycles rage 24/7. Everyone wants a piece of your attention, your time, your energy. And if you don't decide how to meet that chaos, it will decide for you. It will invade your mind, your body, your very sense of self. This is where the 6th Stoic shift becomes essential. From external chaos to internal order. Because when everything outside is unpredictable, the only true power is your ability to build stability within. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire constantly at war, and yet he wrote to himself daily, not as an emperor, but as a man at war with his own mind. You have power over your mind, not outside events. You look back and ask, why did I say that? Why did I let that get to me? That moment between the stimulus and your reaction is where transformation lives. And this is the first and most foundational Stoic shift. Learning to move from reaction to response. The world trains you to react. From a young age, you're taught to defend yourself, to win the argument, to get the last word. Social media amplifies this, rewarding instant emotion with attention. Realize this, and you will find strength. He wasn't delusional. He wasn't naive. He simply understood the Stoic principle that inner order is not something you find. It's something you build, and it starts with clarity. What do you value? What do you stand for? What is non-negotiable in your life? Even when the world offers chaos. Most men never ask that, so they drift. They wake up and immediately surrender their mind to the day's noise. They check their phone. They absorb stress. They react. And by noon, they've already lost the battle. Not because of what happened, but because they never fortified themselves before it did. The Stoic man doesn't make that mistake. He begins the day by fortifying his inner world. He creates structure, not rigidity, structure. He wakes at a consistent time. He practices silence before speaking. He chooses what to consume and what to ignore. He defines his duties, his goals, his mindset, before life throws its demands at him. This isn't about control. It's about command. Commanding your time, commanding your posture, commanding your focus. Because if you don't command your inner world, everything outside of you will rush in and occupy it. Think of your mind like a fortress. Every message, every advertisement, every interruption is a knock at the gate. Who do you let in? What thoughts? What emotions? What demands? The Stoic guards the gate. He doesn't say yes to everything. He doesn't entertain every thought. He chooses deliberately, and when the storms come, and they will come, he is not swept away, because while everything outside may collapse, his structure stands. Seneca said, "A man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." Anticipation of chaos, the fear of what might happen, often causes more damage than the event itself. But when you've established inner order, you stop fearing the storm. You prepare, you respond, you stand. So what does this look like today? It looks like beginning with intention, not impulse. It looks like saying no to things that scatter your mind. It looks like building rituals that reinforce your clarity. It looks like journaling instead of reacting, breathing instead of panicking, choosing stillness over stimulation, and reminding yourself, I cannot control what happens, but I can always control how I move through it. Chaos will come, in relationships, in business, in health, in the world. But if your internal world is built on discipline, on reason, on reflection, then nothing outside can break you. It may bend you, it may bruise you, but it will not shake you. Because when the world becomes fire, you don't need to fight the flames. You simply become stone. Part 7. From chasing pleasure to cultivating meaning, choosing the flame over the flash. We live in a world that worships pleasure. It's in the palm of your hand, 24 hours a day. Scroll a little and you'll see it. The perfect body, the quick laugh, the dopamine rush, the seductive ad, the latest thrill. Pleasure is everywhere. Cheap, fast, addictive. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your entire life chasing it, one high after another, never realizing that what you're really craving is not pleasure at all. It's meaning. This is the 7th Stoic shift, from chasing pleasure to cultivating meaning. The Stoics weren't anti-pleasure. They didn't see it as evil. They saw it as dangerous. Not because pleasure itself is bad, but because it's a trap when it becomes your compass. Epictetus warned, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. Anything that enslaves you, no matter how pleasant, is the enemy. And that's the truth most people ignore. Pleasure can become your prison. When you make it the goal, you become its slave. You begin to design your life around avoiding discomfort and maximizing sensation. You sacrifice depth for dopamine. You trade long-term purpose for short-term hits of approval, attention, indulgence. But the Stoic man chooses differently. He knows that meaning doesn't shout. It whispers. It takes time. It asks more of you. It often arrives in the form of fatigue, of sacrifice, of early mornings, and hard conversations and unfinished work that no one claps for. But in that quiet, in that struggle, is the kind of reward that can't be taken away. Seneca said, "The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach." He meant the kind of blessings that are earned, not given. The kind that don't disappear when the mood fades or the party ends. The kind that root themselves in your soul and grow stronger over time. Someone posts something offensive, you reply. Someone disagrees, you attack. Someone doesn't give you what you want, you collapse into anger, guilt, sadness, or shame. But the Stoics knew a deeper truth. They knew that reaction is slavery, and that response, deliberate, principled, grounded response, is freedom. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That sounds simple, but it is the foundation of inner mastery. Ask yourself, where has the chase for pleasure led you? To fulfillment, or to exhaustion? To peace, or to craving more? Pleasure feels good, but it doesn't last. That meal, that video, that purchase, that attention, it fades. And then you're back to zero, needing another hit. But meaning stays. Meaning grows. It sustains. So what brings meaning? Discipline, creation, service, integrity, challenge, presence, purpose. These things aren't flashy, but they're fulfilling. And when you build your life around them, you stop needing constant distraction. You stop needing to be entertained. You stop looking for what's next, because you're already living fully in what's now. The Stoics trained for this. They practiced restraint, not to punish themselves, but to protect their clarity. They said no to unnecessary indulgence, because they understood that pleasure, unchecked, weakens the soul. But purpose strengthens it. The man who builds his life around meaning is not easy to control. He cannot be baited by temptation or distracted by the next shiny thing. He is rooted. He is present. He is on a path that cannot be shaken by emotion or circumstance. So today, ask yourself, am I chasing pleasure or building a life of substance? Am I consuming because I'm aligned or because I'm avoiding? Choose to step off the wheel. Choose to plant your time, your energy, your heart into something that matters. Choose meaning over momentum, depth over dopamine, fire over flash. Because the man who cultivates meaning doesn't burn out. He burns steady. And that flame lights the path for others to follow. Part 8. From being lost in time to mastering the moment, owning the only thing that's real. Most people are not where their feet are. Their bodies may be present, but their minds are scattered, drifting into the past, racing into the future, endlessly distracted, rarely grounded. They are haunted by what was, anxious about what could be, and completely disconnected from what is. They live in time, but they do not own it. They exist, but they do not inhabit the moment. This is where the 8th Stoic shift emerges, from being lost in time to mastering the moment. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You live as if you were destined to live forever. No thought of your frailty ever enters your head. You don't notice how much time has already passed, but squander it as though you had a full and overflowing supply." And that's the illusion, that we have more time, that we can wait, that later will always be there. But how many dreams have died waiting for the perfect moment? How many meaningful conversations were never had because we were too busy or too afraid? How many mornings slipped through your fingers while you were scrolling through someone else's life. You don't own yesterday. You don't control tomorrow. All you have, all you've ever had, is now. The breath you're taking, the decision you're avoiding, the truth you're sitting on, the work you're postponing, the love you're withholding. This moment is not a stepping stone to something more important. It is the most important thing in your life. Yet we treat it like it's disposable. We sacrifice it for the comfort of someday. But the Stoic doesn't. He honors the moment. He meets it with full attention. He trains his mind to stop drifting, to stop numbing, to stop waiting, and to show up. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. And you cannot embody anything unless you are here, now, in your body, in your mind, in this breath." So what does mastering the moment actually look like? It looks like putting your phone down during a conversation and looking someone in the eye. It looks like breathing deeply before responding to a challenge. It looks like doing your work, not just to finish it, but to engage with it. It looks like walking outside and actually feeling the air, the light, the ground beneath you. It looks like choosing to be present, even when your mind tries to flee. Because presence is power. When you are present, you make fewer mistakes. You speak with more weight. You connect more deeply. You waste less. You remember more. You actually live, instead of running laps around your own mind. But being present takes courage. It's easier to dwell on the past because it's familiar. It's easier to fantasize about the future because it's safe. It's harder to face what's right here, to feel it fully, to engage with it honestly. But this is the work, and it begins with reclaiming your time. Not your calendar, but your attention. Not what you schedule, but what you inhabit. Today is not just another day. Because the truth is, you cannot control what the world throws at you. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will shift. Plans will fall apart. But in each moment, you still hold one sacred power, your ability to choose your response. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, wrote to himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." It's a non-renewable, one-of-one opportunity to become more of who you were meant to be. So stop escaping, stop postponing, stop checking out. Look around, breathe in, feel your body, say what matters, do what matters. Because this moment, this very breath, is your life. And the man who owns this moment owns everything that matters. Part 9. From fear of death to urgency of life. Memento mori, memento vivere. You're going to die. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but one day, without warning, your name will be whispered for the last time. Your breath will leave quietly. Your story will close. The world will go on, with or without you. This is not meant to scare you. This is meant to wake you up. Because most people live like they have all the time in the world. They delay their dreams. They silence their truth. They postpone the conversation. They avoid the risk. They drift through days waiting for the right moment to finally be alive. But the Stoics saw death not as the end, but as the most powerful filter for how to live. This is the 9th Stoic shift, from fear of death to urgency of life. Memento mori. Remember that you must die, not to fall into sadness, but to rise into presence. When you remember you will die, you remember to live now, fully, courageously, deliberately. Seneca said, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing." He didn't wait for permission. He didn't wait for comfort. He didn't wait for the applause or the alignment of the stars. He knew every moment spent asleep to your own potential is a betrayal of the time you've been given. And yet, look around. Most men sleepwalk through their lives. They numb themselves with entertainment. They chase things they don't need. They run from conversations that matter. They fill their calendars and empty their hearts. Why? Because they think they have time. But you don't know how many sunrises are left. You don't know how many words you'll have the chance to say. You don't know how many more times you'll hug the people you love. And that is not morbid. That is sacred. Because when you live with death in mind, you stop wasting your life. You say what must be said. Today, you forgive what no longer serves. Today, you begin the thing you've delayed. Today, you take the walk, make the call, write the page, speak the truth. Today, Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. He didn't say it to feel doomed, but to feel awake. Awake to the miracle of existence, to the weight of choice, to the burning truth that life is not something you wait to live. It is something you must choose to live, fully and urgently, before it disappears. You don't get a warning when the end comes. So live like a man who's ready, not reckless, ready, with love in your actions, with truth in your voice, with strength in your posture, with integrity in every breath. Let others run from death. You, let it sharpen your focus. Let it strip away what doesn't matter. Let it cut through distraction, through fear, through delay. Because when you make peace with death, you stop fearing life. You start owning it. And the man who owns his life, completely unapologetically, intentionally, is the one who leaves nothing behind but fire, truth, and legacy. So ask yourself now, if this were my last day, would I be proud of how I've lived? If not, adjust. There is no later. There is only now, and it's waiting for you. Part 10. From knowing the philosophy to becoming the philosophy, living Stoicism in your bones. It's easy to know the words, to quote Marcus Aurelius, to nod at Epictetus, to admire Seneca's wisdom, to recite, you have power over your mind, to wear the symbols, read the books, memorize the quotes. But that's not Stoicism, that's performance. This is the final, and perhaps most difficult, Stoic shift, from knowing the philosophy to becoming the philosophy. Because wisdom is not memorized, it's embodied. The real Stoic doesn't quote the meditations, he lives them, not just when things are easy, not just when he's inspired, but in the small, invisible, painful, private moments when no one is watching. He practices patience when frustration rises. He chooses silence when ego wants to speak. He breathes through rejection instead of collapsing. He returns to discipline, not because he feels like it, but because it's time. He forgives himself when he stumbles, then rises without complaint. He doesn't talk about his values. He is his values. The Stoic man doesn't build an image. He builds a soul. He ruled an empire, faced war, betrayal, illness, and death. And yet, he reminded himself daily that no matter what happened outside him, the one thing no one could take was his mind, his reason, his response. That's what you must learn to guard, that space between what happens and what you do next. Here's the reality. Emotions will arise. You're not a stone. You're not meant to be emotionless, but feelings are not commands. Anger is not a green light to attack. And every decision he makes, what he eats, what he says, how he spends his mornings, what he tolerates, what he walks away from, is a reflection of something deeper. That's the test. Not how much you know, but how much you apply. Not how beautifully you speak, but how consistently you act. Not how loudly you believe in virtue, but how quietly you hold the line. Philosophy is not a decoration for your bookshelf. It's a code for your behavior. It's the thing you fall back on when emotion clouds your mind. It's the scaffolding you lean on when the storm hits and you don't know what to do. It's the reason you don't crumble when the world gives you every excuse to. The world doesn't need more men who admire Stoicism. It needs more men who embody it. Men who are calm when others panic. Men who are still when others are spinning. Men who take responsibility when it would be easier to blame. Men who don't chase praise because they live by principle. Men who don't beg for love because they've already found peace within. And yes, you will fail. You will overreact. You will break your word. You will fall back into distraction, into emotion, into ego. That doesn't mean you're a fraud. It means you're human. But the man who has become the philosophy doesn't pretend to be perfect. He returns to the path every single time. He sits, he reflects, he forgives himself, he sharpens his focus, he realigns with his values. That's the difference. Not in how few times he falls, but in how quickly he comes back. So now ask yourself, am I just collecting Stoic ideas, or am I applying them? Do I read to impress or to transform? Do I post quotes or do I become them? The world will test you, not on how many books you've read, but on how deeply you've lived what they taught. Don't talk about philosophy. Be the philosophy. Let your posture speak your strength. Let your routine speak your discipline. Let your kindness speak your control. Let your silence speak your power. Because when you become the philosophy, you stop performing and you start leading without trying, without noise, without fear. You've reached the end of the 10 Stoic shifts, but in truth, this is only the beginning. What you've just absorbed isn't a collection of ideas. It's a blueprint for transformation. Each shift isn't something to memorize. It's something to live, to revisit, to embody. And now that you've walked through them, you have a choice to go back to who you were or to step forward into the discipline, silence, and structure that will forge who you're meant to be. You are not here to perform Stoicism. You are here to become it, every day, in every small moment. You are here to make patience louder than pride, purpose louder than pleasure, stillness louder than noise. You are here to build a kind of strength that doesn't need to shout. Let others chase everything but themselves. You chase alignment. Let others get swept by mood and motion. You become the anchor. Let others be moved by every trend, every trigger, every temptation. You move with calm, with clarity, with character. Not because it's easy, because it's right. There will be days when you forget. There will be moments when you fall back into reaction, into comfort, into distraction. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're in the process, and the process never lies. It reveals, it sharpens, it humbles. Come back to the shifts again and again. When you feel weak, come back. When you feel lost, come back. When you forget who you are, come back. Each of the 10 Stoic shifts is a compass. Each one is a reminder that you are made to stand where others fall, to breathe where others panic, to act with reason when others drown in emotion. There's no final mastery, only deeper embodiment. You are not becoming perfect. You are becoming real, rooted, present, deliberate. The kind of man who does not react to chaos, but commands clarity inside it. The kind of man who does not beg for strength, because he lives it in every choice, even when no one sees. The kind of man who walks into each day with stillness in his spine and meaning in his stride. A man whose silence speaks louder than noise, whose principles shape every room he enters, whose habits carve identity out of stone. This is not the end. This is the forging. This is the morning discipline, the quiet training, the decision no one claps for, but changes everything. Let others seek comfort. You seek character. Let others follow momentum. You build your mission. Sadness is not a command to withdraw. Fear is not a reason to freeze. Your mind, trained by reflection and practice, must become the filter, the command center, the watcher. Your goal is not to suppress your reactions. It is to slow them down, to observe them, to understand them, and then to respond with intention, not impulse. Imagine this like a sword. If you swing it without awareness, you hurt people and yourself. Let others obsess over how they appear. You stay loyal to who you are when no one's watching. Let this not be another thing you heard and admired. Let this be the shift that marks the day your real life began. Rewatch it, write about it, speak it, train it, fail, and return to it. Live it again, sharpen it again. Carry it into your work, into your relationships, into your solitude. And when the world grows louder, you will not be shaken. You will smile. You will stand. And you will remember, you weren't made to perform for applause. You were made to endure, to embody, and to lead from within. You weren't made to be soft. You were made to be still. You weren't made to drift. You were made to hold the line. So stand tall, live slow, speak less, act fully, and remember, the only transformation that matters is the one you become. If this spoke to you, don't let it end here. Return to these 10 Stoic shifts. Let them become part of your morning, your rhythm, your code. Subscribe for more. Share this with a man who needs to hear it. Comment with the shift that struck you hardest. Let this not just be something you watched. Let it be something that changed you. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs men of stillness. It needs you, fully awake, fully disciplined, fully aligned. So hit that button and keep walking the Stoic path. One breath, one shift, one action at a time.